Welcome back. This is part 2 to drawing our hamster. So I am going to show you how to shade your hamster and add some definition. To start out, I am going to start defining the ears, and to give it a fur-like effect, I'm just going to draw a little squiggly line on both ears, like that. Once I've done that, I am going to shade it inside the line of this squiggly line, like so. And this is just, some fur definition. And this is what it looks like. So now, after I've done the inside of the ears, I'm going to start doing some fur down like the front of his face. For this, I'm just going to do these short little pencil strokes here. Like tiny little blades of grass almost, I would call it. And you're going to just keep doing that all the way down. Like just a tiny little patch all the way down to like his nose and around his nose. And this may take a while, especially if you're a beginner. And don't worry, it looks kind of scratchy as I call it. It's a weird word, but yeah, it looks sketchy at first, but I have a technique to make it look more blended. And I'm just gonna do darker strokes here because I'm trying to add definition and darkness for this hamster. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my finger and I'm just going to blend that just around that area. And that's what it looks like so far. And I'm just going to continue blending that a little bit outside of that patch. You're going to go back in, add some definition with those strokes again. And this is what it looks like. Now you're going to take some lighter strokes over here, maybe towards the ear. Remember, all hamsters look different. Yours doesn't exactly have to look like mine. Hamsters come in all different shapes and sizes like people. Just kind of take that strokes around here. You're gonna blend a little bit with your finger, adding some definition. More strokes, and you're going to actually create a darker stroke on the outline of his face. This makes it look like he's an actual furry hamster. And this is kind of what it looks like, and you're just going to blend that out a bit, like so. And I'm actually going to blend this out a bit because it's a little bit too dark for my liking. And you're going to actually leave this little part of his lip kind of white, and down here as well, because I just like to have him have a little white part. You're just gonna go in, maybe do some darker shading over here to like indicate that maybe a shadow's hitting the side of his head. Some more hair strokes. Blend that in with your finger. Going once again to do like that outer layer of hair. You even want to do a little bit maybe on the ears, so he looks very fuzzy. Just once again do this little scribble motion. You can always go back in and clean it up. I'm going to blur it out with my finger again. Now I'm just going to take maybe the shadowing down the side of his mouth. Now what I'm going to do is start defining his nose, and I'm going to darken the outside. Then I'm going to take this light little half line over here. It's so hard to see, but it's just like this, half line. And then I'm going to take dark lines to this, like maybe half point. You're not going to split his nose directly in half with that line. You're just going to do little partial bits. Then you're going to do what you did at the top, but just slightly, and then you're just going to kind of lightly shade it with your finger and some, Make sure he's got a little definition because it is his nose after all. Once we've done the nose, we are going to start defining the mouth. And so to do that, we're going to do tiny, 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 tiny little scribbles like we did with the, you know, sides of his head to indicate that maybe he has a little furry mouth, you know. We're going to do that at the bottom of his mouth. I'm going to maybe add some shading over here to indicate that, oh, maybe he's got a tiny little open mouth, you know. Just a happy boy. Then, once you've done that, you're just gonna take some tiny little strokes, faint little strokes over here to indicate that, you know, he's like turned his head. This is what it looks like so far. Now we're gonna do whiskers. For whiskers, you're just gonna draw a little point, or a little dot right there, and then you're just gonna draw a line out. You don't have to do the dots, just put whiskers kind of wherever, not too many, because you don't want to overcrowd his poor little face with too many whiskers. And ta-da, that's his face mostly done. Now I am going to start with the shading of the body. To do this, I'm just going to start doing what I did with the sides of the head and just do that little scribble motion. Kind of dark because you want to make sure that there's some sort of definition with his body. And you're just going to do this all the way around and make sure it's kind of going in the direction. You know, you don't want to just keep it going in the same direction. It is fur after all. It's not exactly neat. And you're going to take this fur over that little leg because his little tum-tum is hanging over. And we're gonna stop and we're gonna do a part 3 because this video is getting long.